Thank you for joining us today. Today, I have a very special guest, Davia Ward, who is the CEO of HPC Billing. So, Davia, welcome to the People First Lessons in Leadership.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Davia and I have known each other for a couple months and we've worked together. So, Davia, let's just jump right in. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your company as it stands right now, HPC Billing?
I own Healthcare Partners, or HPC Billing. We're a virtual office administration company that helps providers with scheduling, billing, insurance, pretty much their Girl Friday kind of type company. Um, I've been doing medical billing for over 40 years now, since before we even had CPT codes or any of this stupid language that insurances want to use now. Back when the days were easy, back in the 80s. But um, yeah, I guess I'm a mother of six. All of mine are grown now. I'm a grandmother of seven, and now my company and my employees are my children because I get to grow them as well.
Yes, yes. And leadership is definitely that. I've often said that your employees are just your work kids. 100%. They're
Oh
just your
yeah.
work kids. So 40 years, but Davia, you only look like you're 37.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
So let's go back in time a little bit. I know you were a nurse for a while.
Mhm.
Where did the idea of starting a medical billing company originate from? Where did that idea come from, and how did you start moving towards that direction?
Well, I had come out of the nursing business. The original idea started, I was actually a surgical intensive care nurse. I was taking care of a patient, and during that time, the patient wasn't doing very well, and they had the family around the bed. And then I saw the medical office or the billing office come in wanting them to sign paperwork and wanting to go over benefits and all this, and it just wasn't the time. This person just had open heart surgery.
Hmm.
Um, and also at the same time, my mother was going through her own issues with medicine, and she died early at 55 due to heart
Hmm.
disease. But she was always worried about, can I afford this medicine? Well, I don't want to do this test because I don't know if my insurance will cover it. And I thought the whole time that doctors can take care of them physically and mentally, but there's no one there to take care of them financially. So a lot of it evolved from that. It really came to a head when my husband was stationed in Iraq for over a year, and I was basically a stay-at-home mom because I had a 7 and a 9-year-old, and I had a provider reach out to me because a patient that I'd helped straighten up their insurance company or insurance records and stuff said, "Hey, you need Davia in your office." Well, of course, I couldn't go into the office, and that provider asked me to if I could help organize and clean up and make things more efficient in their office, and it just exploded from there. I was working from home, and then one person told another person, to where I had to start hiring people to help me because I couldn't say no.
Mm.
So,
So this really kind of stemmed from a need that you saw
mhm.
and I guess really from care that people were not getting
Right.
from the insurance business and companies and stuff. So were you as a nurse helping people with medical billing issues just because of your insights into the industry and then
Oh,
it kind of stemmed from there?
definitely. There was one, I was still a nurse, and I believe it was my next door neighbor. They were denying his oxygen. He had COPD, which is a lung disease. And I said, well, give me the phone. Let me pretend I'm your wife. And so it was, people don't realize they don't need to take no for an answer from their insurance companies.
Mm,
Never settle with the first no. Ask for a supervisor because more than likely the person they're talking to on the phone, if it's about a medical bill or whatever bill, that person has no knowledge or no medical background. They're just reading from a computer screen, um, whatever rules that they put in place. But there's so many laws in the United States that are on the patient side that patients, even providers, aren't aware of. That even though if a contract says one thing, the law negates that, and you can, for example, my father-in-law was coming out of rehab from a fall. He had a stroke, and they didn't want to pay for his rehab care, and they weren't going to do a test or something. And I got on the phone because they told the facility no. Well, as a patient and as a family member, I went back to him and said, I'm paying the premiums, so this is what he does need, because you can fight for your family members. And within 12 hours, he was approved.
Mm.
So even if you don't, as a family member or as a patient, even if you don't have the background, argue it. Does it
Yeah.
feel right? If it doesn't feel right, you feel like you're getting the shaft or getting the runaround, argue it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was somebody I know who was going through a disability claim for long sustained injuries and just was not able to work anymore, and actually contacted a disability lawyer. And the
Mm-hmm.
lawyer kind of pulled him aside and said, "Hey, just an FYI, we're going to be denied twice because that's the system."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's different in, like, I'm in Michigan. I know you're in Georgia. I don't know if it's different within the different states, but that's what he told him. He's like, "You're going to be not denied twice. The third time it'll go through." That's just what they're mandated to do.
They do. And this is a fun fact. It's a weird fact that the insurance used to not pay claims, or they would hold on claims a really long time before they paid them because they can keep their money invested. Why would the government have to make what they call a federal mandate or a clean claim law that if we submit a claim, you submit a claim, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, a clean claim? They had to create a law that made them pay those claims within 30 days, or that the insurance owes you interest.
Mm,
So if the insurance was going to do the right thing from the beginning, there was no reason a law would have had to be made like that. So there is
right.
a clean claim law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's a penny, I'm getting that penny in interest.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like that you are such an advocate for your people, your patients that you are working for. And really, yeah, I mean, everybody needs somebody who can navigate the system, and you seem to know the system so well that you can help people do that and not get the runaround from the system.
I wouldn't say that I can navigate the system. I'm just not one to give up when something's not right. And there's a lot of times I take on providers and stuff. I may not know the answer, but I'm going to dig until I find a good answer or a good solution. So I'm very solution focused more than anything. And I wouldn't say it
Mm,
was just with medical bills, or it's anything I'm doing in my life. I'm trying to find the efficiency or a solution with it, which can probably drive my husband crazy because I won't let things go half the time. But
yes.
I think
So,
that's just me.
well, on that note, I would like you, and if you'd be willing to do so, so please do so. I would like you to brag on yourself a little bit, because I know a little bit of your story, growing up in the one horse town, and then also where you've grown HPC to is no small feat. So if you could take us through that process a little bit, back in your Texas days, getting ice cream with your grandparents, and now you are running a multi-million-dollar medical billing company. That I think that's a fascinating story.
Thank you. I grew up in a very uh, financial disadvantaged family. My mother was a secretary, didn't finish college. My father was a brick mason, so it was feast or famine in our household.
Hmm.
They raised three girls, which I don't know how they did it. All of us were in band. We all played an instrument. We all played piano. My sisters were cheerleaders, and um, our father really encouraged us not to rely on anyone or anything.
Hmm.
And he instilled a really strong work ethic in us. We all had jobs, uh, but some of us took different paths. We didn't listen to our parents. I became pregnant at 17. My sister around the same time. The I put myself through nursing school while working two jobs. I worked Walmart at night, or I worked at the hospital at night as a nurse aide. And then I would get up, sleep for about 30 minutes, go to nursing school. And then from 4 to till 11, when I had to go in, I'd go work at Pizza Hut or Walmart.
Hmm.
And that times are just different. I just did whatever I had to do because I knew there was going to be a better way. And even though we were financially disadvantaged, I didn't know Medicaid and food stamps at that time. It wasn't something that, even though we didn't have it, we didn't have it. I used
Yeah.
to joke that when my mother would make beans and fried potatoes or some kind of really cheap meal, I thought it was an expensive meal because it took her all day long to make it. So time equated to money, even with me back then.
Yeah.
Um, and the things that we thought of now or see now, and I'm like, my parents hid our poorness from us very, very well, very,
Yeah.
very well. So
And
they did without a lot.
what kind of mindset do you feel that was instilling in you and your sisters? Because I think when you say that your parents hid from you that you were poor, yeah, but also what did that do for you mentally as you started, kind of to look back and be like, oh, wow, we were eating beans and whatever.
That the answer is within us.
Hmm.
Anytime you have a problem or an issue, the answer is deep within you. Sometimes you can work your way out of it. You can um, reach out for help when you need it to other people that are stronger, have mentors in place. I had some really good mentors growing up, but I didn't realize that they were mentors at the time. A government teacher, her last name is Ward, which I will never forget, Miss Ward. Um, Everybody did not like taking her class, but when you finished that class, you knew what was going on.
Hmm.
So things that are happening in the world today didn't affect me as, say, somebody that doesn't have a background in it. Um, seeing my father get up and go to work even when he didn't want to, red from being sunburned, sitting in his chair during the winter months because he couldn't because it was snow outside or if it was raining. Um, I remember a really defining moment when I realized that we didn't have money. I was probably in junior high, and it was my birthday's in January. Of course, there's not work in the wintertime in
Hmm.
January, and I didn't have any birthday presents that year. And I still carry some of those things with me, but I could see how much it hurt them more than it hurt me
Yeah.
to not to
Yeah.
be able to do that. So I really think that the answer is in each one of us. And if we want something better, we can either wish it or we can make it happen. And making it happen happens in different ways, in different forms. If you have a dream, you have to keep that dream right in front of you, and you have to take action towards it every single day.
Hmm.
I'm a really big believer in manifestations and things like that, that things happen for a reason. But but at the same time, if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
You can. I'm living proof of it. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to mess up my juju or whatever out there. I have a 7-figure company because I didn't give up.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you like a follow-up question about, so how did you grow? What was the mindset of growing HPC to that level? But I think you kind of just described that. Like your life prepared you for that. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the questions I was going to ask you later on in the interview that I had written down. Have you had any life experiences that have contributed to your leadership and your success? Well, I think you just shared that.
I was just trying to think if I could put my finger on one thing. I think it's a culmination of things.
Hmm.
Honestly, work ethic, making sure things are right, integrity. My core values are something I live by myself. And honestly, as we grow up, we don't make right decisions and we don't do the right things and we take the easy way out. But I can tell you, my father told me a long time ago, he said, when you're faced with 2 to 3 answers of a question or a problem, the hardest one is usually the right answer.
Mm.
So now that I pay attention to that in my 40s and 50s, I didn't in my 30s. When I'm faced with an issue in the company, I have to take a deep breath and go, oh, this is going to be hard. And then just do it. Even if
Yeah.
it's talking with people that there's a conflict with, uh, clients or patients that aren't happy with our service. But if I stay true to it and honest with myself and my integrity, it always works out.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I guess, who is one of the mentors or leaders that you've worked under in the past that has really been somebody that you thought, man, I want to be like them?
Um, in my early days with my sister, honestly, my younger sister,
Your
she,
younger sister.
my younger sister,
Hmm.
um, I always felt once I got the idea of competition mindset and more of a collaborative mindset, I realized my sister overcame so much and became has a graduate degree from SMU, graduated from UT with a degree in finance, I mean, she has a master's. I mean, I look at my sister and she became president of banks, vice president of banks. She worked for the FDIC. But if you'd known what she'd been through, and she didn't graduate high school,
Hmm.
and she was able to accomplish all that. So watching her struggle, but she never gave up, was one that I didn't realize that she really was being a mentor to me, even though she didn't realize that. Um, just people in our community. Uh, my my besides Miss Ward, my government teacher, I took a vocational office education class, and Miss Arian was my teacher. And she's the one that taught typing and shorthand and all that we did in the 80s. And um, it was the way she taught me to be a lady, the way she taught me to act and dress in the office. I was pregnant and everything, and it's just there's so many doors will open for you if you learn the body language
Mm,
and how to act, whether you're feeling it or not. So that's another person. Um, I feel a lot of the doors and things that I've had open to me is all about my behaviors and how I act and how I'm perceived. Because nobody knows my past. Nobody's seen if they have a window into my soul. But if I told you that the jobs I've worked, the things that I've done, most people would be like, "There's no way," because all they see is what they see in front of them right now. They don't
right.
see the extra miles and things that we've done. So, um, and we try really hard to make sure that whatever I do today is going to affect all 36 women that I have underneath me at my company. So I
Mm,
try to make sure that I may not feel like I'm a mentor to them, but sometimes they'll say something like, "Do you remember when Davia did this?" I'm like, "I didn't realize that was a big deal to them." So
mm.
just remember, people are watching you. You don't realize. I'm going off on another tangent. I know. I'm just sitting here. I'm reminiscing.
No, that's
And
okay. And things that you're saying are sparking questions that I have and I know this about you, because we've worked together. But talk a little bit about the 36 women in your company and that mission that you have for them.
when I first started HPC, it was because I was bored. Honestly, there was things I wanted to have my own money because my husband would have to. He was the sole breadwinner, and I am too much of a independent person, as you
Mm,
know. So it started out for me to having extra money and time because the kids were in school. And our CPA said, "Davey, what are you going to do when this makes $200,000 or $300,000 a year?" And I'm like, it's not. This is just extra." And then it blew up really fast. And I needed and ask the question again because I'm going off another. Sorry.
the 36 women, your mission with them.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it all started with money, and then I mean time, money, and after a while, and I would say in the last year and a half, I lost my vision for the company because I really didn't have one. The why
Mm,
that you hear Simon Sinek say, because I was just head down, getting my work done, making sure everybody's taken care of. I got my self confidence and I got my Atta girls from when people said, "Hey, thank you. You did a great job. I couldn't have this done without you." So that was feeding my cup or feeding my soul. I didn't realize how many people I was impacting and the women underneath me, that my vision has changed, that every one of my women, when I looked around, are stay at home moms. They need second chances, whether it's in life, whether every one of my women, life has been really, really hard for them
mm,
for whatever reason. No one is sitting in my company with a silver spoon in their mouth.
hmm
They've all come from different backgrounds, different races, different religions, and they've had something that's happened to them that has kept them from succeeding in life according to their standards.
hmm
And so my vision now is for me to employ over 100 women all over the US that needs second chances, that wants a community, wants to be able to come together, wants to be able to work from home and make money on their own if that's what they want, but actually be a part of something that they wouldn't necessarily have access to,
mm.
whether a career, education, anything. And it doesn't have, each one of them has something different that they need from us, but yet they're all feeling the same thing for me.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a moment because I know this part of the story is you have an employee or had, I'm not sure if it's current or past, that expressed to you about going back to college.
Mm-hmm.
And you just took HPC completely off the table and you just sewed into that woman about, well, how are you going to do that? What steps do you need to do? And you just mentored her through the process of,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you want to go back to school and get your degree in XYZ, you need to, start applying at colleges. And you really put that in front of her where it's like, yes, you can do this. And when I remember you telling me the story, it was almost like you believed in her more than she believed in herself at that time.
There's a lot of them that I feel that way with. I've had I've had one. My second or third employee is actually an RN and does labor and delivery. I have one. My very first employee is now vice president of a hospital system, actually vice
Wow.
president of a hospital system,
Wow.
because she went on and finished other degrees. Because I've been doing this for a while. Recently, I've had someone that just moved to a different state. And the good thing about my jobs and my company and careers is that when you move, you don't have to start over again.
Right.
You can take the job with you because we all work from home. She didn't know anybody or anything, and she was having a really hard time acclimating to the area. And I encouraged her to go and apply for jobs in offices. And she's like, but you need people. She needs the physical touch and the physical interaction with other people. When you move, or when you're from in the same place, like I know my community. They
Hmm.
know I work from home. I know my church family and all that. But when you move to a new community and you don't have that support that you had and you just left, being at home, working from home can isolate yourself, especially for people that
Yes.
crave that. And sometimes I have to push people out and say, you're
Wait, wait,
lonely
wait.
out
Davia,
here.
you're a leader. You wanted somebody to leave your company and go get a job somewhere else? What sort
Yeah.
of leader and CEO does something like that?
Because if I would have kept her, she would have ended up quitting or not wanting to be here.
Mm,
And I don't want anybody to feel trapped. When we feel trapped, we make decisions we don't want to make.
hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us and realize that sometimes what we need is not what we think we need.
Hmm.
And
And I
I'm
think,
encouraged. I can't wait for her to come back.
yeah, I think that's really, I don't even know how to say this the right way. It's really big of you to see the need of the person and speak to them, even if that puts your own company or position at a little bit of a detriment by losing them. That I think that's a really class act thing for you to do. So
Thank you.
kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
So let me ask you a strictly leadership question because this is people first leadership coaching and consulting. When you started to have to hire employees, you had to make a shift from, hey, I'm doing this myself to now I'm managing other people. Is that something that came naturally to you? Or were you like, oh gosh, I just hired this crazy guy named Todd and now I don't know what to do with him because
Absolutely not. Because I grew up in the era that you do as you're told and you don't ask why.
mm,
And so I still had that. My boss knew better than me because he's my boss. And that's the difference between a boss and a leader.
mm,
And so you have to remember, I grew up in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And during those era, when you ask why, you were probably fired or you weren't promoted or you whatever. I was horrible boss, horrible leader. I I would tell people, I would talk to people, I would talk down to people. I would treat them like they were my children. Do as I say, don't, not as I do.
hmm.
Um,
Where did
and
that shift start for you when you started to shift from, oh, this probably isn't the best way to do this?
when I honestly, it was in 2018. It really became more and more uh, because people are going to see how you're going to see how they see you because I'm very direct. But I lost my daughter. My daughter had passed away, and I just didn't want to do this anymore. I wasn't
Mm.
finding joy because medical billing and doing what I do was fun. It was not a career. It was not a job. And I know people think that's crazy of me, but when you find a position or a career that you love, it's true. You never work a day in your life. My husband's
Right.
like, "Why are you at midnight? You're still doing it because it's a puzzle. I'm going to fix this. They're not going to beat me. I'm going to fix this. I know the answer. I'm going to find the answer." Um,
I would hate to play a board game with you.
oh, I'm really not really great at board games, but I'm a lot of fun because yeah. But when it's something that's a puzzle to be solved for somebody else that somebody else is
Mm,
going to benefit off of, that's my father's told me a long time ago. I'm going to change. He says that I will bend over backwards to for other people when it's a detriment to me. So
mm.
that's probably my Achilles heel. And um, but yeah, I I was a horrible boss, horrible.
Yeah.
But now I'm pouring into everybody. I want to
Yeah.
pour into them. I want them to see that there's a better way. Um, that they're only their circumstances because they allow it.
Yeah. And sometimes that's going to require, I guess, non-work related conversations,
Hmm.
tough love sometimes, where, I think leadership is often leading people to a place that they didn't know they needed to go. And that's so hard because they don't see the destination, even though you may. And you've done that path, you've gone down that road, and you know they need to take a right-hand turn, but they want to go left. Uh,
You have to let them go left, and it
yes.
hurts, and it hurts, and you have to let them go left.
Yep.
But the deal is too is you have to leave the door open for those that are worthy to come back. And when I say worthy, that doesn't mean you think that they're worthy. They have to show that they're worthy to themselves. Because I have people that I fired that have worked for me still, that I fired and asked them to come back a couple of years later,
Hmm.
because I could see the growth in them through the community and everywhere else. But sometimes people just make stupid decisions that you have to let them go.
Hmm.
But then when the time is right, and you'll know, I don't let everybody come back. I do have a few in my company that have, and they've turned out to be some of my best employees. My biggest heartaches, but my best employees.
Hmm. So you really do kind of take this on as like the mama bear. Like these
I
are
do.
all your babies, and hey, you made a bad decision, but mama still loves you. Come on back. I see the growth. I see what you've done. And it sounds like you're looking for women that you can give second chances to, but sometimes those second chances have come from you and not
Mm-hmm.
just from life.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That's a great mission. That's a great heart to have. Now, I'm sure it doesn't always feel great.
No.
Doesn't always feel great. Let me ask you one last question that I like to ask a lot of people. What is what is the one leadership experience that you have learned the most from?
Listening.
Hmm.
You have to learn to listen, which I still have to practice that every day, and listen to things that aren't being said.
So the in-between things.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes people are going to tell you what they want you, what they think you want to hear, and there's some that will tell you straight up what kind of a person you're being right now, and you have to applaud that because they had the courage to come to their boss and say something like that.
Hmm. And I know based on what you've said so far today, back when you were coming up, that was not an option.
No, absolutely not. That's the quickest way to get a pink slip. Remember, I don't know if you remember those, but yeah.
That's your don't come back tomorrow slip.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, David, thank you so much for your time. This has been a fascinating interview, and a lot of this I know, but I wanted to like that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview with you because I think you have such a great story. The impact that you're going past the addition factor and going into the multiplication factor. And I think that's a very, very powerful legacy for you to have just as a business and CEO owner. Um, so let me ask you one more last question. Where would you like to take HPC in the next 5 to 10 years or whatever? What are your big audacious goals for HPC? What would you like to see? H
My BHAG, my big, hairy, audacious goal is what I
Oh, you
call it.
know that? I
Yeah,
didn't
my
say that.
BHAG.
Not everybody knows that, but yes, your BHAG. What's your BHAG?
My BHAG is to be $100 million company.
Okay.
I will not be in it any longer because I'm 57 and I hope to retire in about 5 years. I want my company to be carried on by my employees. I want to
Hmm.
hand it off to them and let them continue to grow because I can only touch so many people. But can you imagine if 36 women touched 5 people and those women touched more people?
Mm,
Just because we're growing into this AI era, the things we do, people need to realize that we're not going to lose our jobs. We've got to change.
right.
We are, and I want to put this out there, medical billers are data analysts. We already are. We take the information, we analyze it, and then we submit it to the insurance companies based off of how they want it so they'll pay a claim. That's a data analyst. If you look up the definition, so we needed to be able to change our titles and be okay with changing titles, but the job's still the same.
And there are certain things that you just can't automate, you
Human,
know? Yeah.
human ability, human touch. And as long as medicine is here for the humans
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not the AI, um, there's always needs to be some type of human touch in there.
Yep. I often think about that. Like if we were to audit, like everybody is not afraid of AI, but I think a lot of people in the workplace are concerned about where AI is going to go, if it's going to take their jobs. You and I have a mutual friend, Jonathan Mast, who's kind of tip of the spear on some of this stuff. And just wondering where this is going to go and how we're going to do this. And so many things are becoming automated, and things we didn't think could be automated last year are automated with ease this year. And but there's still that human element where if we were to automate life and say, okay, I get home from work at 5, my wife gets home at 5:30, dinner gets made, da 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 da. But Todd really wants ice cream. Hey, honey, do you think we could maybe bump this a little bit so we can go get ice cream? You can't automate that.
Yeah. One thing
And
I
there's,
found with like automating and stuff is that when I put some automation in place, I find the things that I was ignoring that need to be handled.
hmm,
So when you put something and you uncover something, there's more down there. There's going to be always be more things. So don't ever think that, I wouldn't say don't think that AI would take your job. Just be aware, play with it, listen to it, watch it, and
yeah,
figure out where you fit in. Because if we could automate everything, it would have been done already. AI
yeah,
has been around for over 40 years. People just don't realize it
yes,
for a long, long time.
yeah.
Be
I, I
scared of it.
yeah, I like to say that, that red squiggly line under the word that you just mistyped, that's
That's
AI.
AI.
It was reading you.
An ATM machine. That's AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We can't
we're
be.
put in different forms. We just don't really, now that they put a name to it,
Hmm.
it's ooh, it's scary.
Yeah. And that was me. Like I would say a year and a half ago, I was like, nope, you're not going to put a port in the back of my head and read my brain, and no, I'm not going to do that. And then, my friend Jonathan Mast is like, Todd, why don't we actually have a conversation about this? And then I realized it really, really is just an incredibly powerful tool. We just
Exactly.
have to learn how to use the tool.
Exactly. Just like we had to learn how to use computers. Remember, I graduated high school and we didn't have computers or cell phones or any of that
Yes.
stuff. And we've had to learn to use it. And
Yeah.
now most of us can't do without them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, heck, we put timers on toasters.
I, I used to type out claim forms on a Brownie typewriter in the doctor's office, type them out with correction tape. So
Oh, yes.
yeah. So if I was
Correction tape.
involved, I was in the medical billing before there was PPOs and HMOs and copays and all that. So if I didn't evolve with the way things are going, we would have been snuffed out a long time ago.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to.
Yeah. I would love, I'm going to put this in the video since this is going to go up on YouTube. I want to hear a comment from anybody who remembers typewriter correction tape.
Oh yeah.
Snap.
Or even I had two claim forms and I used to put carbon in between
Yeah.
them, and then you had to correct the front and the back.
Oh, man. Man. That's,
All
yeah.
brown that hummed like that.
Yep. When I tell young people that I met my wife in typing class in ninth grade, they're like, "Oh, what kind of computers?" No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no, no.
no.
Typing class. Yes.
Typewriter class.
And it was one semester.
Yep, yep. And that's all it took. And now, 22 years in July, honey, I love you. Well, Davia Ward and HPC Billing, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. I know people are going to watch this and get something out of it. So it'll be a couple days. I'll send you the final copy. You can use it for whatever you want. But thank you so much for your time.
This was awesome. Thank you. It was really great. I sat there just in memory. I was just going down memory lane the whole time, just so you know.
Yeah, I
I don't know
told
if
you
you could
this would be
tell.
fun.
Yeah. And being honest with, saying you're not the best boss, so you aren't, people need to hear that.
Yeah.
People need to realize it's not easy. It's not something that, oh, I was just born with it. Nobody is.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I do a leadership mastermind at another time during the week as well. And part of the conversations we have are you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to
You
be
need to
this,
know and find them.
large and in charge, and I'm just killing everything. No, you don't. Like we're gonna mess up, but how we fix the mistakes is where our character lies and how we progress forward. So. But thank you so much. I'm going to end this here. And then if you just hang out for a second, and we will go from there. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation with CEO Davia Ward from HPC Billing. All of her social media links are below, so if you would like to reach out to her or follow her, please do so. And thank you for joining me. We will see you next time.